Hello everybody and welcome to a new section called 1 versus 2. This is where I take something and compare it to the sequel in order to determine which is the better one. As you can probably tell from my username, I am a massive Zelda fan, so for my very first 1 versus 2 I'm going to be comparing The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time with Majora's Mask. I know the Ocarina of Time isn't the first game in the series, but it is the first one I ever played, and there seems to be a lot of debate as to whether or not Majora's Mask is better than the Ocarina of Time, so I'm going to be comparing the two games over several different areas to determine which one's the best. Plot. Ocarina of Time seems to be dumped into the Save the Princess category, but that's a load of crap, mainly because Zelda doesn't actually get kidnapped until right at the end of the game when your next job is to go and fight Ganondorf anyway. Zelda has the Triforce of Wisdom, and Ganondorf needs it in order to make the True Force so he can become the ultimate king of evil and take over, so of course he is going to kidnap her. It's not like Bowser, who seemingly just seems to kidnap Princess Peach just to get her out of the way. To me, the game is much more about the battle between good and evil, which, sure, it has been done before, Link to the Past, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess to name a few, but it does the job very, very well. Majora's Mask is about a demonic mask that possesses the moon in order to crash into the earth to destroy everything, and our hero has to stop it. It's a very unique story, and it is definitely the black sheep of the series, even though it doesn't seem to have the aura of evil about it that Ocarina of Time has. Sure, it's about destroying everything rather than taking over, but Ganondorf is the personification of evil, and I don't think he's going to try and turn the place into a land of happiness and love. It's a very good storyline in Majora's Mask, but it just doesn't quite live up to the Ocarina of Time, but it does try something new. I like both stories, so I'm going to let them have the point each. Music. One thing Majora's Mask has over the Ocarina of Time in this aspect is that when you're running around Samina Field, you actually get the main Zelda theme play. The main theme didn't actually appear anywhere in the Ocarina of Time, and that is a really big shame. But the music that you do get in the Ocarina of Time is pretty decent, not just in Hyrule Field. The main Ocarina songs are pretty decent in both games, but in the Ocarina of Time, you actually get the full version of the songs when you play them. In Majora's Mask, you just get a repeat of the buttons you just pressed. Sure, you get the full version when you actually learn the song, but then after that, just having a repeat of the buttons kind of makes it lose something. Having to play the Elegy of Emptiness so many times when climbing up the stone tower got really annoying. People said that playing Zelda's Lullaby over and over again in the Water Temple got annoying, but Zelda's Lullaby is a much better song than the Elegy of Emptiness, plus you don't have to play it nearly as many times, so it didn't bother me in the slightest. At least in Ocarina of Time, if you want to listen to something like The Lair of Fire or The Serenade of Water again, you can just play it and listen and be happy. Maybe that was just me, but you can't in Majora's Mask. As for the other music, in Ocarina of Time, the Castle Town Market tune's really good, as is the Gerudo Valley. In Majora's Mask, the Pirate Fortress tune is pretty good, and the tune in the Observatory is pretty nice as well, but they don't quite have the catchiness of the Ocarina of Time music. However, Majora's Mask does have one of the best tunes in the series, pretty much. During the credits, after the Indigogos have done their tune, you get another tune start, and it is really good and pretty catchy, but I don't think that is quite enough to make up for the less catchy tunes throughout the rest of the game. So for music, Ocarina of Time gets the point. Side quests and minigames. Every Zelda game has a number of side quests and minigames to keep you occupied for ages. I don't really like fishing, but the Ocarina of Time actually managed to make fishing fun. The Bomb Tree Bowling Alley was a really good challenge, as was the horseback archery, and once I actually managed to get the perfect high score of 2000 in that. But no matter how good the quests are in the Ocarina of Time, they cannot compare to those from Majora's Mask. Thanks to the expansion pack, the level of emotion that the other characters can portray makes the minigames and side quests much more meaningful. If you weren't even slightly moved from the Andrew Cafe side quest, then you are made of stone. The game also takes some of the minigames from the Ocarina of Time and makes them better. The archery games, for example, they were good enough in the Ocarina of Time, having to shoot the rupees, but the swamp archery and town archery from Majora's Mask are just much more varied and interesting, and because of that it makes it much more fun. The horseback archery in Majora's Mask is an alien invasion, which seems a little bit out of place for a Zelda game, but even so it is still really good and interesting and good fun. Problem with it though is that in Ocarina of Time, if you want to do the horseback archery, for example, you just go and speak to someone and get on with it. But with Majora's Mask, you have to go through a load of prerequisites in order to get to the point where the invasion begins. One cock up along the way and you have to start the whole build up again. Also, the horseback archery for the Ocarina of Time has got a high score system, so it adds a little bit of personal challenge to get the better score, whereas with Majora's Mask, it's just a case of you win it or you don't. But even so, when I remember the Goron race and the Seizure Gophers from Majora's Mask, the minigames are just so much better and so much more fun. Completing the Bomber's Notebook and collecting all the masks carries so much sense of achievement for it that it's just the area of the game where it shines, and for that, Majora's Mask has to have the point. The last hurdle. Once you've fought your way through the hordes of evil minions, the final boss battle is really important. Ocarina of Time pits you in an epic battle against Ganondorf, but he is just a little bit too easy. When the tennis game starts to get fast-paced and interesting, he just ends up getting hit and you start again. Once you have defeated him, he decides to collapse the tower, and it's a race against the clock to get out before it collapses on you. It would be edge-of-the-seat stuff, but you get given way too much time. I think you get given something like 3 minutes, and normally by the time I get to the exit, I've got over a minute to spare. On one occasion, I did run too far away from Zelda, and when I got to one of the doors that she had to open, she never appeared. I ran back along the corridor, and I found her stood there like a lemon, and then she decided to come with me, open the doors, and we escaped. Even in that situation, I still had plenty of time left when we got to the exit. After that, you do get a very epic battle with Ganon and his two Swords of Doom. The dark clouds, the lightning do really add to the atmosphere and make it a very intense battle. Even so, he is still a little bit too easy. It is just a case of roll between the legs, smack tail, repeat, so that does let it down a bit. For Majora's Mask, the fight between Majora's Mask, Incarnation, and then Wrath is a really good challenge, and it is really good fun. The Fierce Deity Mask can go fuck itself, seeing as it takes away all the things I like about the battle. It's okay doing it on one occasion just to completely annihilate it, that's perfectly fine, but the overall challenge of the fight is what I really like, and you only get that when you are in your normal form. It's so much great fun. It doesn't quite have the same atmosphere and epicness that the Ocarina of Time has got, but it is just such a more challenging and fun battle that it has got to get the point. The ending. No matter what the media, game, book, TV series, film, it doesn't matter. The ending is very important. In the Ocarina of Time, we get a heartfelt discussion between Link and Zelda where she apologises to Link for dragging him into everything and says that had her powers have been stronger years ago, things wouldn't have ended up as badly as they did. In Majora's Mask, we get the dawn of a new day, the Festival of Time begins, Link is thanked for his actions, and he continues on his original journey. The Majora's Mask ending seems to try to be philosophical, but it doesn't do a very good job at it. What some of the kids say on the moon seems to be a bit more philosophical than what the Happy Mask salesman says. The Ocarina of Time ending tries to be heartfelt and emotional, and it succeeds, whereas the Majora's Mask ending tries to be philosophical and fails, and for that reason, the Ocarina of Time gets the point. 3-all. Huh. Well, let's have one more subject which really is the deciding factor on which game is the superior one. The adventure. This incorporates everything from the opening scenes to the final battle. For the Ocarina of Time, this is getting the 3 spiritual stones, collecting the Master Swords, completing the 5 temples to get the 5 medallions, and then going to fight Ganondorf. In Majora's Mask, this is getting the Ocarina of Time back, completing the 4 temples to unlock the giants, and then going to the moon to fight Majora's Mask. Though that may make it sound as though the Ocarina of Time is a longer game, the build-up to each of the levels in Majora's Mask is pretty much mini-levels in themselves, like getting the Zora eggs from the Pirate Fortress or doing the Castle of Ocarina. Ocarina of Time does have 8 levels compared to Majora's Mask's 4, so you do get a bit more variation with the different levels in the Ocarina of Time. The weapons that you use in Ocarina of Time become part of the forms for Majora's Mask, like the Megaton Hammer becomes the Goron Pound, and the Boomerang and Iron Boots become part of the Zora form. Because of this, a lot of the puzzles do have the same sort of element to them, it's just that rather than using a weapon to solve the puzzles, you would use one of the forms instead. Also, having more levels means that you get many more epic boss battles. Baronet, Twin Rover, Bongo Bongo, to name a few, are really good bosses. There's nothing really wrong with the bosses in Majora's Mask, it's just that none of them really have quite the same epicness that they do in the Ocarina of Time. Twin Mold maybe. Also, having to switch between the forms all the time in Majora's Mask can get a little bit annoying. Yeah, Adult Link is so much cooler than Young Link, but being able to roll through a Termina field going over ramps and stuff, or swimming through the ocean as Zora Link is just genius. But then again, Ocarina of Time takes place in good old-fashioned Hyrule and has Navi. I think I know which one I prefer and which one's going to get the points. The main adventure is the main reason why I prefer the Ocarina of Time over Majora's Mask. There's just something about the temples and the build-up to them in Majora's Mask that doesn't quite click with me in the same way as it does for the Ocarina of Time. It might be because you sometimes have to spend just as long trying to get into a level as you do actually in there, I don't know. The different forms for Majora's Mask does add a bit more variation to the combat and travel and things, and plus the minigames and side quests are absolutely genius. But I mainly play a game for the main adventure, and because the main adventure for the Ocarina of Time is so much better than Majora's Mask, the added stuff to Majora's Mask isn't enough to save it to put it above the Ocarina of Time. If I was to do Majora's Mask again, it would probably just be so that I could do some of the mini-games and side quests again, or just have fun rolling around Samina Field. Whereas with Ocarina of Time, I can play the game from start to finish over and over and again, and it is probably because of that it is one of my all-time favourite games, and I love it. Roll on Skyward Sword.